If you want to be the best interviewer to ever live, you need to watch this video because I'm going to give you the best tip I ever learned, right? And I didn't even learn it from interview tips and all that from online stuff. I didn't learn it from any of that. I learned it from raw experience in a book I read. That's what I learned it from. Okay, let's get into it. So, the way you know you're going to the second round, or the way you know an interview went really well and you might even get the job offer, is if that interview goes from an interview in a question answer format to a conversation format, right? Okay, so I want to teach you a strategy to convert that 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 interview from a interview format to a conversation format, okay? And it's very simple. It's a very simple strategy. You ask questions. That's it. Video's over. I'm done, right? That's what you need to do. You need to ask questions. If you ask the the interviewer questions, it will naturally turn into a conversation. Hey, I saw that you go to X, Y, and Z school and that you were the president of this. What was that like? And I know you don't do that at the start necessarily. I can tell you what to do at the start. But regardless, you asking that question is going to convert it into a conversation, right? When you first start the interview, what you could actually do, you could do a pattern interrupt. And honestly, I promise you this will work. So, watch this. If you start the interview, hey, hey John, thanks for taking the time to interview me. I know you have questions, but before you start, I saw on your LinkedIn that you're a Packers fan, right? Wow, I'm a Packers fan as well. I hope, we win this Sunday. Dog, I'm telling you that shit will work. I'm telling you that will work. If you say, John, before we start this interview, I see that you went to this school and you got this master's degree. I mean, that's incredible. That's what I actually would love to do. Do you have any tips or advice for me? Do a pattern interrupt, and I promise you it will change the whole interview. Okay, because even if you start the interview as a conversation and then he said, okay, let's get back on track and do the interview, I promise you, there's two scenarios here. If you do that pattern interrupt, it turns into a conversation. There's two scenarios there. It can either turn into a conversation, you never have the interview, and he sends you up to the second round. That's one scenario. The second scenario is he brings it back on track, right? He said, okay, this was a great conversation. Let's get into the interview, which is fine because you already built rapport. And so now it's going to be more natural. You brought down walls. That's number two. And then you can be more authentic during the interview. Number three is if he's stale and he's like, hey, let's talk about that later. Then you already know where his mind and his attitude is. And you can still adjust accordingly and you can still win him over in the interview because you know the type of person he is, right? Okay, let's talk about scenario 3 real quick because that's going to be the easiest one, or that's going to be the hardest one for you to kind of convert into a win, right? So if he just is stale and he's like, hey, I'd rather not talk about this right now, then you know that he's the type of person that really focuses on the work itself. He only cares about your qualification. He cares about his time. He cares about his energy, right? So that you already know what he values now, right? So now that you know what he values, you know what you can do? You can now switch your answers to very technical, very analytical, and very logical. No emotional base, right? If he's a very emotional person, he's like, oh man, the Packer, blah, 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 then you can switch your interview to a more emotionally based and talk about how he feels, talk about the pain that he feels and play into his emotional side, right? So let's do this two ways. Let's talk about the logical side real quick because that's going to be kind of harder for some people to adjust to. Okay, so he's very logical, right? So what you would need to do is you need to kind of prod him every once in a while and be like, Can I just ask you real quick what type of candidate you're looking for? What would be your number one qualification you would want from someone? And let's just kind of run this scenario and say, I really want someone that is really good at Excel, and I don't have to train. I don't need to take the time out of my day to train. See, it's always the little details when someone says something small like, I don't want to take the time out of my day to train someone on how to do Excel. I'm sick of that. Okay. Now you know what they value, right? So now guess what you do? You say, hey man, I understand, I'm someone that, I work on these group projects a lot in this finance class I'm in, and they don't understand Excel at all. I mean, they don't even know a simple X lookup formula. Like, it drives me crazy that people do not even know Excel. So I understand how you feel, like wanting someone that's good at Excel. Listen, I can tell you this: if you decide to take me on as an intern or as a full-time employee, you're not going to need to train me on Excel. And even if I am, if I do have questions or I need help, I can take courses. I can look it up online on Google, on YouTube, on ChatGPT if it's really that advanced. But honestly, like, I'm not the type of person that's going to need a bunch of training on Excel, because I'm someone that really makes sure that I already know Excel really well. Like, I know very complex formulas. I did a massive project that I had to, build this massive financial model. I know Excel very well. That answer is going to start to lower his walls a bit, right? So remember, at the start of that conversation with that very logical guy who said, I don't want to talk about that. His walls are up. Okay, great. When you answer in that specific way, you hit his specific pain points, you lowered his walls. So now he's going to be a little bit more open. He's going, oh, okay. Okay, that makes me feel good. Okay, and then he's going to probably ask some questions about, well, tell me what projects you worked on with Excel. And then that's when you can really cook and you can say, hey, listen, this is what I did. This is how I put it together. This is the logic that I had. This is what I could have, this is what I learned from it. This is what I could, and he's going to enjoy hearing that, because he's going to enjoy, so, okay, his mindset's good, right? He or she their mindset is good. So this is, and this is why I really wanted to talk about this. It is critical that you read humans really well in these interviews. You need to read social cues very well, right? So those logical individuals, they care about technical expertise. They care about their time. So position yourself in that way. When they're emotional, hit on their emotions, and just say, hey, I know how it is, hiring someone that, just doesn't have the best attitude. And the reason I know is because I've been an intern before, and I've had to deal with other interns that had bad attitudes. I know what that's like. And I can tell you that, I'm someone that wants to learn. I'm someone that wants to grow, someone that wants to get better. And I'd never, be someone that comes in with this toxic attitude, that doesn't want to learn anything, that doesn't want to listen. I'm going to probably be asking you too many questions. But that type of answer, right? That type of answer connects with them emotionally. Now you're connected, and even the logical one is emotion too, but it connects with them emotionally, right? You made them feel a certain type of way. I'd never be like these bad people you hired before, right? I'm like these good people you've hired before. You have to be able to play the social game, the psychological game. And once you can play that game, you will slay every single interview you do. And if there's an interview that you do not slay, guess what it is? It's on them. It's them that have the bad attitude, and you wouldn't want to work in that environment. I've had interviews go bad, and most of the time, it's because there's just a vibe. There's just a difference in vibe. They just weren't interested in hiring me from the jump. There was an interview I had this lady was so stale. And I said, okay, I'm not getting this because she's just too stale. I think she already had a candidate lined up, so she just wasn't interested, or I don't know, she just came in with like a bias or something. I don't know. She was just very bland and stale. Anyway, I hope this video helped you. I hope this video was able to provide you some level of clarity on how to flip these interviews into conversations, because I promise you, once they will start ranting if you can answer these questions in the right way, right? If you can talk about, how you're different from past interns that they've had, they will rant to you and say, oh my God, there was this one kid that did X, Y, and Z. And that's how you know you got it. So yeah, if you need help with interview prep, make sure you schedule a call with me. You can do that in my description below. Thanks for listening, and make sure you stay in scope.